We had some that, of course, were opposed to an increase, period. We had others that were just wanting to be sure that if we did raise the taxes, that the money would be spent to the best benefit and put where it needed to go.
Those two viewpoints were expressed vociferously during last night's tax hearing at the Hardin County Courthouse. Judge Martin believes the budget increase is necessary to provide Hardin County residents with adequate services. He says citizens will suffer without such an increase. But today, Judge Martin and county commissioners met in a workshop to study the budget. And Martin told Channel 6 News that there will definitely be cuts made in the $4.2 million budget. He told us commissioners are studying various ways of reducing the budget and may have some definitive answers by Monday. The proposed budget is $4.2 million. That's a $1.2 million increase over last year's budget. The increase will cover three areas, with $700,000 to $800,000 going for road and bridge construction, $148,000 allocated to law enforcement needs, and $370,000 budgeted for other county departments. The tax increase amounts to 53% if your home has been reappraised this year, and 30.35% if your home hasn't been reappraised. Some citizens at last night's hearing told commissioners a bond issue is necessary to finance long-range capital improvements such as road repair. But County Commissioner Herb Williams believes a bond issue is doomed to fail because many people believe there are inequities in the expenditure of county dollars.
They feel like that if they get a bond program, they won't get a fair shake, that the larger population will get the benefit of most of it. So that's the thinking in Precinct 3.
One citizen questioned whether community input will have any effect on the budget vote.
So we have to trust that you're going to do what you say and go ahead and tell you tonight whether we agree or disagree with this increase in our taxes, with no proof that you're going to do anything at all to change this lousy budget.
But changes are in the works, and Judge Martin did tell us there will be cuts. In any case, the budget won't be finalized until a September 21st meeting of the Hardin County Commissioners Court. Scott Lawrence, Channel 6 News.
The Gulf Oil Corporation is embarking on a public relations program that could very well hold the key to industrial growth in the Golden Triangle. A spokesman for Gulf Oil said it's simply time that somebody bites the bullet and sends a message out to the trade unions that they can no longer put up with the excessive cost overruns, job construction completion delays, and excessive absenteeism by their workers.
If we fail at this, then the entire community is going to suffer as a result of it. And up until now, everyone is aware that new industry doesn't want to come into the area because of the high cost of construction. So our whole goal and aim here at this point in time is to get labor to work with us to try and cure this problem. And what we have said to labor is that we've just reached a point in time where there's really no choice in the matter at this point, that we have to get the problem cured.
We're going to try to sit down with them like we have in the last 3 weeks and work out our problem. And we know we've had some absenteeism, we've had low productivity, illegal pickets, and some jurisdictional problems, which we're putting a committee together next week to try to eliminate some of these problems. We will not only help Gulf, but the other industry in the area. I understand, and we understand, if we can't solve our problem and bring everything back together, they're going to go outside and try to get their work done with another source. And we're proud union people in this area, and we don't want that to happen. And we have talked, and we know we can bring it back together in this area.
Okay. Two major building trade contractors, CASA and AGC, told Channel 6 News this afternoon they completely endorse Gulf's policy and say the problem of declining productivity is very real. Other sources close to labor told us they are very optimistic these problems can be resolved, thus preventing any move towards an open shop in the Golden Triangle. Keith Elkins, Channel 6 News.
During their regular session last night, Vidor City Councilmen decided on two issues that affect all of the citizens. To one issue they said yes, to the other they said no. City Council said yes to a 14% pay hike for policemen. The first year of collective bargaining had its ups and downs. Police at one point said the city was not making any concessions and circulated a petition to put the issue before the voters. Councilman then came up with a petition to recall collective bargaining. The negotiated 14% raise is what's left of the city's offer of 4% and the police request of 30%. When it comes to supporting the county ambulance service, Vidor paid its share of startup costs, but is the only county municipality that hasn't paid its share for equipment to monitor patient condition in the field. Vidor Mayor Drew Stevenson was unavailable for an interview, but he did tell us that the question of funding for the Orange County Ambulance Service will probably come up before Vidor City Councilman during a special session scheduled for next Thursday. Another councilman we talked with here at City Hall said the problem is when the ambulance service first started, all of the cities in the county were asked for a one-time contribution. Now they're being asked for more money, and Vidor just wants to find out when the request will stop. In other matters, Vidor City Councilman upped the garbage fees from $5 to $6. The reason? City employees were given a 10% across-the-board pay hike instead of a $50 raise, and a new garbage truck has also been purchased. From Vidor, Wayne Sparrow, Channel 6 News.
College students who will be hit hardest by the budget cuts are those coming from family incomes of $30,000 or more. These students are going to find it harder to prove that they need financial aid. These middle to higher income students will be ineligible for federally insured loans unless they can show a great need for one. Up until now, students from any income bracket could get a loan without much trouble. Not only has Congress tightened the eligibility requirements on the government loans, it's also put a 5% service fee on them and raised the interest rates. Because of this, students at Lamar have rushed to the financial aid office to apply before the budget cuts take effect October 1st. But will these cutbacks keep a lot of students from going to college?
I don't think so, because these loans have in the past been directed at middle income and higher income people. These are not loans that were designed to go to lower income people specifically. They were designed for all people in the last few years. And we found that the people that tend to get these loans are those people that are going to be going to college anyway, that they're going to be looking for alternative sources of funding if they can't get the loans. And I think we may find that some people may make decisions not to go to quite as expensive a school. If a person is going to a very high-cost school, say a private school that's charging thousands of dollars a year tuition, we may find on a statewide level some shifts of people going to lower-cost schools.
And Rush says Texas is one of the best states to go to college in. Tuition here is among the lowest in the country. Lamar students will fare even better. Most of them live in and around the Golden Triangle and have jobs to help put them through. Karen Hayes, Channel 6 News.
That's all right. This is just a sausage to put on there.
At 15 months old, Holly Kirk has found something better to do in the water than just swim. The toddler, who hasn't even been walking very long, likes to water ski.
Big foot, don't you? Uh-oh. 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 You can handle. Are you ready? You are? Okay.
She's been around the water so much, and she just saw everybody else skiing, and we got out here with her, you know, pulling her out in the water by hand, and then we'd pull her out in the swimming pool, and my husband started her out in the lawnmower, behind the lawnmower, pulling her around the yard, and she hung on, so we figured she was ready for the water, and we'd try her, so we tried her out in the shallow water, and she held on, went around to the jump and all the way back again.
And that was just 2 weeks ago. Since then, Holly's been skiing around Beards Lake in Beaumont like a miniature pro. Holly uses children's skis. Her dad connected the skis with 2 boards to keep Holly's legs from moving apart. When Holly's strong enough, she'll use regular skis and a rope connected right to the boat. At 15 months old, though, Holly Kirk is already dedicated to water skiing.
In fact, the other day, the first time, we've usually just, pulled her up or let her stop, but the other day we pulled her in and she screamed and hollered, and we thought it was something we did. She just didn't want to get off of them. She just wanted to stay on the skis.
And from the looks of things now, Holly Kirk will be skiing longer than she's been talking. Karen Hayes, Channel 6 News.
Testing is a word that evokes fear and apprehension among students. But in the Beaumont Independent School District, the Early Prevention of School Failure program brings nothing but smiles to the faces of parents. Roy Guess, the largest elementary school within the BISD, was the site of one screening program. The program screens kindergarten students throughout the district in 3 areas: motor skills, language, and visual motor integration. Nan Haynes heads the screening at Roy Guess.
The early prevention of school failure is a screening test given to see if children are able to do the work in kindergarten. And we screen for motor, we screen for language, visual motor integration, and vocabulary.
Okay, and then as far as follow-up, what's done after the test?
After the screening, we set up individualized instructions to see that every child's special need is carried through, and the volunteers are in our rooms to help us with this.
Motor skills are evaluated by observing children as they engage in various activities such as throwing a ball. Points are added or subtracted according to body control. Other activities involving motor skills include skipping and following paper footsteps laid out in a specific pattern. 2 aspects of language are screened: auditory skills and vocabulary. Visual motor integration involves transferring visual symbols by drawing or copying. After the test, scores are checked against a standardized norm. Kindergarten students are given individualized instruction for their special needs in order to prevent academic failure in later years. Students are weakest in motor skills, perhaps because television is introduced at an earlier age. But Haynes says this year's group of kids at Roy Guess is one of the best ever.
They are just doing excellent this year.
Scott Lawrence, Channel 6 News. Texas residents will go to the polls November 3rd to vote on 5 amendments to the state constitution. One of those amendments would fund future water development by using 1/2 of the state tax surplus. Today, the State Board of the Texas League of Women Voters announced their opposition to the bill. Channel 6 News spoke with State Senator Carl Parker, who also opposes the bill. He believes the proposed amendment will shortchange those in Beaumont and all of East Texas.
The 2 things that I object to are, number 1, Speaker Clayton avowedly would like to import East Texas water to West Texas. He said that in the hearings on this particular thing. The other objection I have to the water plan is that it will ultimately raise our taxes in Texas. Either that or result in drastic cuts in services. If we dedicate constitutionally 1/2 of any surplus that generally is created by inflation, then we won't be able to remedy the increased cost of governmental services that are caused by inflation. Therefore, we would have to either cut back on services or increase the taxes, and neither of those is very palatable to me.
Parker says the general fund will be robbed of revenue now used for public education, law enforcement, mental health facilities, and all other governmental services. And he believes West Texas legislators will shoulder a great deal of the blame if that comes to pass.
I offered an amendment that would have protected East Texas water for 75 years instead of 50 years, as the bill allegedly does. Every West Texas senator and state representative voted against that proposal, which tells me something. If we pass this plan and create a multi-billion-dollar fund at the expense of all other governmental services in Texas, it will end up transporting East Texas water away from East Texas.
Okay. In Port Arthur, Scott Lawrence, Channel 6 News.
Jefferson County Commissioners formally approved a new tax rate today that is expected to raise your property taxes 6.5%. That means for a $50,000 homeowner, taxes will go up about $10. But commissioners were quick to point out that last year, when they decreased taxes about 11%, hardly anyone took notice.
At the top of the increase, I think it should be pointed out that there was indeed an 11% tax decrease last year.
In other tax-related matters, County Judge Richard LeBlanc and Tax Assessor Collector Nick Lamson voiced strong opposition to the budget request for Jefferson County's new tax appraisal district.
It will cost the entity, Jefferson County, and the entities that we collected taxes for last year $545,000 as compared to $381,000. And we've been saying from the start that this appraisal district seems to be off on the wrong foot.
The district's budget that's proposed, in my mind, is almost to the point of being a ripoff for the citizens of our county. The citizens of Jefferson County will be paying in excess of $31 per parcel to have their property appraised. In fact, it's going to cost the owner of a $50,000 home approximately $40 for the appraisal district to put a value on that property. And to my knowledge, nowhere in the state is the appraisal system costing that much money.
County commissioners believe the appraisal district can trim their budget by at least $1.2 million and officially went on record voicing their opposition. They will now try to get 50% of the school districts and cities that make up the appraisal district's voting members to support them before the budget is formally approved. A hearing will be held this Wednesday night at 7 o'clock at the West Groves Elementary School, where the public will also have a chance to speak out on the proposed $2.6 million budget. From the Jefferson County Commissioners Court, Keith Elkins, Channel 6 News.
Well, it became official this morning. Orange County Commissioners approved a 17.5% tax increase and an $8.7 million budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 1982 and going for 9 months. Judge, day one, you came out with a 59% tax increase. Today, you approved a 17.5% tax increase. Will any services be cut to work within that?
Well, right. We cut out, I think it was 5 new employees for the Sheriff's Department, 5 new deputies, and then the new vehicles and the related costs there. We cut out personnel in the courthouse to maintain the grounds and such, and we cut out all new construction at the county park. And then we went back and cut on the commissioner's road and bridge budgets, where that they would be working, on the roads. Not to say that we cut it completely out. We just cut back on it. In general, we cut back on some services, but not drastically. Nothing.
Another 17% tax increase is anticipated for next year. The new $8.7 million budget is $600,000 less than last year's, but it's only for 9 months and not 12. On a monthly basis, the budget is up roughly $191,000. From Orange, Wayne Sparrow, Channel 6 News.
The city of Beaumont recently hired a consulting engineering firm to study the present water system and outline what changes would be needed to meet future growth and demand. The present facilities are capable of pumping a maximum of 33 million gallons of water per day, and the Director of Public Utilities says we came close to using that much water on several occasions last year.
At the beginning of last summer of 1980, we had a capacity of 33 million gallons a day, combined raw water and the water that we could produce from the wells which are located in Hardin County. We produced to the city 31.7 million gallons per day on one day, and any number of days we exceeded 30 million. So this was pushing our capacity right to its limit, and fortunately nothing broke down.
The improvements being recommended are these: the installation of a 24-inch water transmission line from the main pumping station in Hardin County to the city's distribution system, also enlarging the Loeb station to include a 10 million gallon a day pump. Improvements are also being considered to the raw water diversion system from Wise Bluff to the main waterworks on Pine Street. A 17 million gallon per day pump is also recommended for the Wise Bluff station. Finally, improvements to the main waterworks plant on Pine Street to increase its pumping capacity from 17 million gallons of water per day to 30.
Current capacity of the raw water treatment plant is 20 million gallons. Part of that plant was built as early as 1925, and it is in pretty structurally it has deteriorated considerably.
The total cost of the improvements is estimated at $7.5 million and will be paid for with money collected by the city from customers who use city services. City Council has to approve such a project, and it is scheduled to vote on the improvements at its regular meeting tomorrow. Jim Oliver in Beaumont, Channel 6 News.
Things are busy now at the new county jail. Jailers have moved into their respective places, and now they're busy manning the booking desk and closely watching monitors for security's sake. 351 inmates were finally moved into the jail last night around 5:20, something law officials had hoped would take place last March. The transfer of inmates was smooth. Operations in the jail today have gone just as well, and the notorious electronic system that opens and closes cell doors is reported to be in good working condition.
However, the main problem now facing the jail and its staff is overcrowding. This cell was designed to hold 24 men. It houses 30. Some men may sleep on the floor tonight.
We knew when we moved that we didn't have enough bunk space for the men, and we brought in some of the old bunks from the old jail. And makeshift till the Commissioner's Court can do something about the expansion area that's in this jail now.
This is the expansion area. If and when completed, this area will allow for another 160 bunks, or a total of 505 inmates. If 3 years ago county commissioners had approved funds for expansion, it would have only cost $1 million. Today, the cost has doubled to do the same job. The jail is already in violation of state laws for overcrowding.
Well, the state law says that we should have 40 square feet per inmate, and we're in that violation. But there's not much we can do about it until the area can be completed.
Aside from all of this, how do the inmates view their new home?
Right now, we're lacking of getting bedding and, our personal property and all of this. This is what I'm talking about,
As you see, man, there ain't nothing but full walls around you. That's it.
Terry Elliott, Channel 6 News.
The recently completed session of the Texas legislature enacted a number of bills designed to benefit citizens throughout the state, including those in Jefferson County. Perhaps the most important is House Bill 30, which institutes changes in the Texas property tax code. Today, an attorney with the State Property Tax Board held a seminar to discuss the major changes. Starting next year, property owners who dispute the assessed value of their property will have only one group to complain to, the Appraisal Review Board, which will judge the rate set for all property, be it personal, city, county, or school district. And attorney Rick Fine says property owners now have the ability to hold back any property tax increase to 8%.
They can petition to put a rollback proposal on the ballot, and if the measure is successful, they can roll back a proposed tax increase to no more than an 8% increase.
However, local tax offices will continue their functions such as collection, and the county tax office will still retain control over voter registration, auto licensing and title, and all other operations in addition to property taxes. Jefferson County Tax Assessor Collector Nick Lamson believes the $2.6 million budget proposed for the appraisal district is much too high. He thinks a $1 million budget is feasible, but he says local governments have veto power over the budget.
Two things that were brought about by House Bill 30, which was the cleanup bill to the veto bill. One of those gave a veto power, if you will, to the jurisdictions, the voting jurisdictions that make up the appraisal district.
A public hearing on the proposed budget will be held tomorrow night at 7 in Groves Elementary School. The budget should then be adopted quickly, but it's probable that a veto could come just as quickly. Scott Lawrence, Channel 6 News.
This monthly meeting of PEP was different. It is usually a closed meeting, but this time around the meeting was open. One reason why is this man. He is vice president of Gulf Oil Corporation, and he announced that Gulf has made a total commitment to work with PEP in solving its labor management problems.
We were having problems within our plant, and it was a kind of, I guess, a multitude of problems. One of them was that, of course, our productivity was very low in our plant, and that we were not able to complete our facilities on time within budget. And we found out since that time, of course, that it's never just one thing that contributes to those things. PEP basically helped us in providing the forum, the meeting place, and they're able to pull together all of the labor leaders in the county and the industrial leaders. And then that gives us an opportunity to have a platform and a place to meet.
There was also talk of locating the PEP headquarters in the soon-to-be-built John Gray Institute. Lamar University President Robert Kimball.
I think in the initial stages that the Institute should stand ready to be a supporting arm to PEP, as well as do those several other things such as forward planning, look at public policy issues, establish our credibility, as I say, in our own right in a variety of other areas.
Co-chairman of PEP, Jack Kennedy, says labor management problems are not as bad as they were several years ago, but PEP still has a long way to go.
We're addressing the problem of absenteeism and low productivity and some things that we can work in the building trades with our membership so they can have jobs for the future and continue growth in this area.
A judicial board consisting of 3 members from labor and 3 from management to hear disputes between the two is in the process of being formed. A formal announcement will be forthcoming soon. Jim Oliver in Beaumont, Channel 6 News.
Standing in this building is like standing in a giant beer cooler that you bring to the beach. It's made of styrofoam, and its inventor says it can cut heating and cooling costs in half.
It's like living in the igloo, and this is no really, great big idea. It is what I simply say that this technology has been along for many years. People just not implementing it properly. Eskimos did this a long time ago. They built, dome-shaped stuff like that.
Flimsy idea, you say? Well, not really. The styrofoam walls are filled with concrete, with steel beams running through them. The inside and outside will be covered with about 3 inches of a hard plaster. The idea of styrofoam buildings has caught the attention of several realtors. They visited Hubbard's demonstration building in Liberty today to see the possibilities styrofoam has for building houses. Do you think this idea has a good chance?
I think it has a great chance. This is the reason that we drove out from Missouri City today, because we're primarily interested in getting something that will have energy conscious level that would keep down the expenses of the energy for the home and also could be bought at a cheaper price.
Styrofoam structures are energy efficient, and Hubbard says they're soundproof, not to mention termite proof. Hubbard says he's not really interested in making money off his idea, though. He just wants people to be able to afford a home and not spend a lot of money running it. Karen Hayes, Channel 6 News.
We'd be tickled to death to be able to sit down in a constructive meeting with the Justice Department to see if we could come up with some ideas that might help alleviate the present situation. And I think that was the main thrust of our first conversation with the Assistant Attorney General, Mr. Reynolds, is to explain to him that under different circumstances that we weren't that completely alienated or against magnet schools. We were against magnet schools if we had to bus K through 11 the first year and use a year of planning to do that. He was very receptive to the fact that, first of all, to find out that we weren't dead set against that, which we were accused of during the trial and the hearing. So, we'd be most interested in exploring any type of opportunity that would provide some relief to what we're presently doing.
So you wouldn't have, if you had like a year to plan for a magnet system, that would be acceptable?
Oh, I could probably do it less than that if I had some encouragement that might help the present situation.
And you're waiting for that?
That's right. We're very interested in having additional conversation with the Justice Department and both our intervener groups.
A Vanderbilt University study that has just been released cites 5 factors that are inherent to many effective desegregation plans. The study says a plan can be made more workable if it is comprehensive and includes teachers, administrators, curriculum, and a discipline code. The study also says riding a school bus isn't in itself detrimental. Integrated schools result in integrated neighborhoods. Voluntary desegregation doesn't work, and that desegregation should be done in early grades. An official in Port Arthur School Superintendent Clyde Gott's office told us their belief is that buses are a rolling classroom and can provide a learning experience to the students. We were also told many children at their new Washington Elementary magnet have said they enjoy riding buses. We also spoke with Superintendents Jim Covert and Mike Taylor about the study.
Scott, I think that this one has been definitely successful from those standpoints. The plan was all-encompassing at all levels when it was implemented. We consolidated the 3 high schools into just 2 high schools and set 2 attendance areas. We also incorporated from the beginning the lower elementary grades, which is an important factor in eventually completely desegregating a school district.
Programs that are set aside for voluntary desegregation, such as our majority-minority plan, did not work. There's evidence to prove that. It's for the simple reason that people want their children to go to school in their neighborhood areas. There has been some success at the magnet school level. If you can make the program interesting and curriculum-wise and instruction-wise, and put enough goodies and icing on the cake, that there have had some success in that.
Each of the 3 school districts in the Golden Triangle which have implemented a desegregation plan have incorporated some of the elements the study lists as effective measures. The Beaumont Independent School District initiated a comprehensive plan including desegregating the early grades, and Superintendent Covert deems their plan effective. Port Arthur's plan is also comprehensive and desegregates students as early as grade 2. Superintendent Gott also believes their plan can be effective. South Park's plan takes effect relatively early, grade 4, except for Price students. Their plan is mandatory, and although many people are unhappy with the plan, their system can be deemed as relatively stable. Scott Lawrence, Channel 6 News.
Good afternoon, Hobart Sales and Service. 20-year-old Cindy McNeil would like to go to college, but she can't afford to. Like many other Lamar students, she's been turned down by local banks for a federally insured loan.
That's left me out of school, supporting my husband while he's going to school. And that's hard. I can't hardly make ends meet as it is, and school's expensive, you know, especially for people that don't make a lot of money.
We spoke to several banks in Beaumont to find out why people like Cindy can't get a student loan, and they gave us the same answer they gave her. They would lose too much money, there's too much paperwork and red tape involved, and they're afraid some students won't pay up after they graduate. In other words, student loans are a bad investment for Beaumont banks. But where does that leave people like Cindy McNeil, who are still eligible for federally insured loans but can't get any bank here to give them one? One source says that if just one bank would start providing student loan services, then others would follow because of the competition. Are you going to try to go to school?
Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to go to school in January, but that is if I can borrow some money from somebody, relatives or something, because banks won't give it to me and I can't pay a personal loan out. Not right now, anyway.
Do you think you'll ever get to go to school?
Oh, yeah. I'll make it one way or another.
In Beaumont, this is Karen Hayes, Channel 6 News.
In order to give the police what they say is more money, the city wants to shuffle some benefits from one area to another. The police union was not too happy about that idea. The union says shuffling benefits from one area to another is not feasible. There is nothing in your proposal that encourages officers to stay with the department. We have lost 21 officers since January 1st, and we would like for you to consider mediation. The city responded, "You have misunderstood our proposal. Since we are willing to negotiate, there is no need for mediation at this time." And so the negotiations continued. The union is asking for a one-year contract, which the city says will be okay, but the city is leaning towards a multi-year deal. The items that the two sides can agree on are wages, seniority rights, residency, and an impasse procedure. They are also discussing grievance procedures, personal leave, and vacations.
The two sides met again this afternoon and decided that they were at an impasse on wages. So the two sides agreed to call in a federal mediator. At this time, no other meetings are scheduled. Jim Oliver in Beaumont, Channel 6 News.
Traffic is the reason for the work on Highway 105 in Vidor between Tram Road and just past Farm Road 1132. Lots of traffic.
Traffic count on this road is very high. There's a lot of traffic on this road, and this is one of the priorities on this particular project. There's been several fatalities on this road, and this is the reason that we're trying to push this project through as fast as possible.
In order for the state to widen the roadway to 4 lanes, Orange County had to reroute pipelines and also obtain some 84 land easements. The county is also responsible for curbs and gutters. The cost to Orange County is roughly $775,000. Today, the county began putting finishing touches on the pipelines, and the rest will be up to the state.
We turn over all of the deeds to the right-of-way, to the easements for the pipelines, to the state, and then the state will probably go to contract in the spring. I talked to Frank James yesterday, and he stated that if they go to contract in the spring, that they probably let a contract in May or June.
No completion date for the project has been given. From Vidor, Wayne Sparrow, Channel 6 News.
The proposed budget for the newly created Jefferson County Appraisal District had evoked some discontent, with Assessor-Collector Nick Lamson calling it extravagant, County Commissioner Jim Smith pledging to vote against it, and Port Arthur School Superintendent Clyde Gott urging that the budget be cut by $400,000. Chief Appraiser Bill Wright took heed of the suggestions and cut the budget by more than $400,000. That was enough to silence critics and foes. Directors unanimously passed the $2.2 million budget for the appraisal district, which will handle all appraisal activities in the county. Representatives of the taxing entities within the appraisal district praised the budget, and Bill Wright, who carved it into final form, a form that is now pleasing to Commissioner Smith and Chief Appraiser Wright.
How do you feel? Well, like I stated, I think there was a lot cut from it. Last Monday there was $400,000 cut. I still believe there were some things that could be cut, but it might be considered trivial. And if all the governmental bodies here tonight at the public hearing say that they're in favor of it, then I'll go back to court and recommend that they approve it.
I feel delighted. I'm really pleased. I was certainly pleased that we had all the support that we had here tonight. It's gratifying to me, as I read at the outset, it's gratifying to know that all of these entities are sitting out here telling me, look, if you need help, call on us. It's there.
In Groves, Scott Lawrence, Channel 6 News. Debated, sometimes ridiculed budget for the Jefferson County Appraisal District found favor with those who were responsible for its formulation, the directors. County commissioners can veto the budget only if a majority of the taxing entities within the appraisal district oppose the budget. So the vote on the budget in Monday's commissioners' court meeting is largely ceremonial, but their sentiments could take on greater weight in the future, and sentiments, at least today, are mixed. Channel 6 contacted the 4 county commissioners and County Judge Richard LeBlanc, who is out of town. Commissioner Jim Smith has already indicated that he will favor the $2.2 million budget in Monday's meeting. Commissioner Norman Troy told us he will also vote for the budget. He says he'd like to see more money cut, but adds it will be at least 2 years before we'll know how much money the new appraisal district actually will need. Commissioner Dave Smith says he must look at the reduced budget and study the cuts before making a decision Monday. And Commissioner Rolf Christopher says he must also reserve his decision until Monday. But he does say more money should be cut from the budget, and he believes the appraisal offices should be in the Jefferson County Courthouse because he says it's the most recognized building in the area. Most of the funding for the new budget will come from taxing entities such as school districts and cities. They will contribute almost $2 million, with the remainder of the funds coming from the 1981 balance. The total budget is a little more than $2.2 million. The three groups contributing the most funds are the Port Arthur School District, the South Park School District, and the City of Beaumont. Commissioner Jim Smith and Chief Appraiser Bill Wright believe putting the new entity into operation will not be easy.
The philosophy of the appraisal district is very must. We've needed it for years, but putting it into operation is a big problem that we're having.
It will take 2 years to really streamline it, 3 years to probably really get it going. But wait till 6 months from today when all the people get their new valuation notices, and you'll see a lot of upheaval, but then it will straighten out again.
Scott Lawrence, Channel 6 News.
This time, extreme employment school position. Then there was a screening by people here at the university. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we ought to now open it because he is a builder, he is a leader, he's the kind of person that we think can come in. But at least a couple of the staff he wants and needs to make the Institute not only a effective instrument in the short haul.
Sheriff Ed Parker received the jail's accreditation from County Medical Society President Dr. Suter Sir.
In United States, there are 4,000 jails. AMA so far in its history has recognized 96 jails for accreditation. Out of these, 3 jails are in Texas. Orange County is one of them. I am proud to announce that only Orange County in Texas has been credited twice, one in '79 and one this year.
A number of medical services are responsible for the honor.
When a person is brought in here, a medical history is taken, the medical rights are explained to them. It's explained to them that they're entitled to medical treatment, continuing medical treatment. If they require medication, this will be given to them. A medical history is taken. If they're here for a period of a week, a physical examination is done. Facilities are set up so that care is available 24 hours a day. We have 2 nurses working in the jail. We have a physician who regularly makes sick call at the jail. The personnel in the jail itself are trained in basic first aid and CPR. They're also trained in recognizing medical emergencies and psychiatric emergencies.
Meanwhile, the jail still has not received its overall accreditation from the state of Texas due to overcrowding. A county committee was formed to look into that problem. At this time, however, they still haven't come up with an answer. From Orange, Wayne Sparrow, Channel 6 News.
Holly Smallwood has lived on Treadway Street in Beaumont for 54 years. She's never seen anything like it. Thousands, maybe 1 million walnut caterpillars have taken over one of her pecan trees, a tree she planted many years ago as a sapling. Moths lay eggs on the underside of pecan tree leaves. Pecan trees are their favorite. The eggs hatch 9 days later, and you have caterpillars. Ed Weaver explains the process from there.
They will feed for a while, and then they'll crawl down to the major limbs and trunk and will molt in a glob there, so to speak, and they go through 2 instar periods, and this is one of them. And as they molt, well, then they crawl back into the tree and feed again. They feed for about 25 days, and then the last 5 to 7 days is when they defoliate 85% of the tree.
To give you an idea of how destructive these worms can be, this pecan tree was full of leaves last week, but today just a few leaves remain. Mrs. Smallwood says the irritating crawlers have kept her hands full.
It's been quite a little job for me because, you know, I'm not so young anymore. And I have arthritis, and And it's been quite a job, but then
A little bit worried about all of them being around?
well, I'm not afraid of them, but then I just don't want them to destroy everything.
Weaver says it's the worst outbreak of the caterpillars he or anyone else has seen in the county, and he believes ideal environmental conditions such as moisture are to blame. He adds that if infested trees don't die from the attack, that the pecan crop in our area probably will be lost. Hickory and walnut trees are also threatened by the larvae. 7-dust or malathion sprayings are suggested to kill the walnut caterpillar. Terry Elliott, Channel 6 News.
Gas station dealers are saying if Texaco does impose a 3% credit card fee, one of two things can happen. Either other large oil companies will also impose a fee, or it'll send a lot of Texaco dealers out of business. And this is why a lot of Beaumont dealers are trying to do something about it. Several stations are asking customers to sign petitions. Wednesday night, more than 200 dealers from most major oil companies met in Houston to protest Texaco's latest move. A local Texaco dealer was there. Rick Terrell says he can't understand why top Texaco executives would want to hurt its gas station dealers. What is going to be the fate of the Texaco dealer?
Well, it's not only going to be Texaco, it's going to be Exxon, Shell, Gulf, and everybody. They're going to have a way to collect 4 more cents a gallon, legally collected through a devious mean of saying it's for credit cards, which is ridiculous. So it's not only the dealers that's going to get hurt, it's every man and woman that drives a car that has to buy gasoline. If Texaco or Shell or Exxon is allowed to do it, and then they'll come up with something next year when they need more money. They can't keep tacking on the gas price, so they do it another way.
If dealers have to start charging 4 more cents a gallon for gas, credit card users won't be the only ones affected. Even those who pay cash will still have to pay those extra few cents. On October 1st, Texaco dealers nationwide plan to close down their stations and go to Houston again, this time to protest on Texaco headquarters' front lawn. Karen Hayes, Channel 6 News.
The newly constructed Orange County Jail was built to hold 44 inmates, but records show there are usually about 50 prisoners. Because of the overcrowding, the jail was not accredited by the state, and the county was instructed to do something about the problem. A committee was formed to find an answer, and they recommended a consultant be hired to come up with a feasible expansion plan. County Judge Pete Reynolds explained why that has not been done.
We've made the decision that any means of financing new construction at the jail would go before the people in the form of a bond issue. And it's our opinion that with the economy the way it is now, with the Reagan economic plan up in air and not really knowing if it's going to work or not work, and high interest rates the way it is, that it's not feasible to pursue a bond issue at this time. So we don't see the purpose of calling in a committee to make a study, pay this firm, and then maybe not be ready to implement their plan until a later date and then have to call them back in.
State jail officials in Austin told Channel 6 today that the status of the Orange County Jail will be discussed during a meeting next month. They also say the jail is in good standing other than the overcrowding, and it's highly unlikely it will be closed. Both county and state officials say there are other possible alternatives to enlarging the jail and will keep you up to date on new developments. From Orange, Wayne Sparrow, Channel 6 News.
Since April, residential and commercial properties have been reevaluated by the Jefferson County Appraisal District, and some county residents have expressed interest in how the value of their home is determined. First of all, there is a schedule book broken down into classes. Appraisers use this schedule to determine what class a home falls into. But there are many variables, such as age and the quality of materials used in building the home, that help determine that class. For example, this home falls into a Class 3. Meaning that it doesn't rank in Class 6, which are homes that are brand new and very expensive, nor does it rank Class 1, which is unsound to live in. Knowing the class of the house, the appraisers arrive and the appraisal begins. After checking to make sure the street address is correct, the appraisers check the condition of the home, looking for things like cracked slabs. Then the big job begins, measuring the home's perimeter in square feet. After all of this information is recorded, it is fed into a computer that spits out the value of the residence. The value is derived from the number of square feet of the house and multiplied by the cost per square foot. Things like central air and swimming pools are also added in or subtracted depending on the class of the home in determining value. Keep in mind the value of your home is decided by the appraisal district. However, the property tax you pay is determined by the school district your home is situated in.
The actual dollar to be paid by the taxpayer will be decided by the entities. What we would do, we will furnish them the information, the values, what have you, everything that they need to work from. And from that point, they will set the tax rate.
The entities Byrd mentioned are the school district. The appraisal district is reappraising properties one school district at a time. And Byrd pointed out that to date, the appraisal district is more than 3/4 through the task of reevaluating all properties within county school districts. The district hopes to be through with their valuations by December 31st. One other thing to keep in mind concerning the determination of property values.
As inflation, occurs, increases the value of property, we have to recognize this. At the same time, assuming that something would happen to decrease property values, whatever it may be, then we would also recognize this.
So you fluctuate with the market?
This is true.
Terry Elliott, Channel 6 News.
This machine is a telephone translator for the deaf and hearing impaired, an electronic invention that makes telephone conversation possible for the handicapped. But deaf organizations point out these machines are not as quick as normal voice conversation, and since more time is spent on the telephone to make the same call, feel the rates for deaf users should be reduced. A statewide organization, the Coalition of Texas Organizations for the Deaf, pleaded their case to the Public Utility Commission.
We deaf people are not super typists. We just are average people, average typists. To try to communicate with our friends, our relatives, our businesses, especially over long-distance calls, really can take a lot of our pockets, out of our pockets.
Legal counsel to the PUC disagreed and recommended that the request be denied.
Reflective of the balance of compassion and the fact that we have to make hard decisions at some time. On balance, I think that we have to make a hard decision here, and we have to say no.
At the end of the final hearing last Tuesday, which wrapped up almost 2 years of testimony, PUC commissioners sided with the handicapped. They ordered Southwestern Bell, General Telephone, and Continental Telephone companies to reduce long-distance rates for the deaf and hearing impaired as follows. For intra-state calls, daytime rates will be reduced 25% to the evening rate, and evening rates will be reduced 40% to the night rates. A similar rate reduction request for interstate telephone calls was filed by Southwestern Bell's parent company, AT&T, and is currently pending before the Federal Communications Commission in Washington, D.C. A decision on both long-distance reductions is expected to be put into effect by October 31st. At the Public Utility Commission in Austin, Keith Elkins, Channel 6 News.